Okay, so what we are working on is lesson 5, which is on page 299 of your workbook, and this is going to finish off the multiplying of polynomials. What we did yesterday, or the last lesson, is we multiplied two binomials together. What today is going to be is very similar, except it's going to be a binomial multiplied by a trinomial is what's going to happen. So let's look at this first question. It says a rectangle has a length of 5x plus 2 centimeters. So what I want you to do is I want you to draw a rectangle, and let's give it a length of 5x plus 2. Then it says the width of this rectangle, sorry, keep your binomials in brackets. The width of this rectangle is x squared plus 2x plus 1. So let's write that down. So x squared plus 2x plus 1. And the question is, what is the area of this rectangle? So we know that area is equal to length times width. And how we're going to find this is we're going to multiply this binomial by the trinomial. So let's write area equals, and write down your binomial, which is 5x plus 2. And that is going to be multiplied by the trinomial, which is 1x squared plus 2x plus 1. It is the exact same as multiplying two binomials. It's going to be the same steps. We're just going to be distributing it to one more place. So what we did is you always circle that first term of the first bracket, and you get that distributed to every term in the second bracket, which happens to be there's 3 terms here. So same thing that we did. You're going to say to yourself 5x times 1x squared would be 5x cubed. Because remember, you add the exponents. Then 5x times 2x, that would be 10x squared. Then you'd have 5x times 1, and that would give you 5x. When you're done with the first term of the first bracket, you then circle the second term of that bracket, and you distribute it in to the second bracket. So we'll go here, here, and here. So let's do the multiplying. 2 times 1x squared will give you 2x squared. 2 times 2x would give you a 4x, or 4x's. And at the end, you've got 2 times 1, which is plus 2. We are then going to put our like terms together. So I'm going to box in the x cubed, and I'm going to check, do I have any other x cubes to combine it with? I don't. So let's write it down, 5x cubed, and get rid of it. Then let's do our squareds. That x squared and this x squared, how many do you want me to write down? 12. Get rid of it. X's, 9. And what is my constant? That's right. Now, normally we'd box this in. However, this is an area question. So just at the beginning, let's write area equals. And then the last thing I'm going to do is we always want to give units, right? So they told me that it was centimeters times centimeter. What would the unit be for area? Centimeters squared. So if you have a centimeter times a centimeter, your units would be centimeters squared. Okay, so let's do 2 more for practice. I'm going to do this one. I'll get you guys to do that one, and then I'll call different people. For this one, let's put in our invisible ones. So put in a 1 there and a 1 here. Circle the first term of the first bracket and get that put in here. 1x squared times 2x cubed is going to be 2x. Do you know how many x's there would be? There's 5. Good. The other class said there'd be 6 x's, right? You add the exponents. So there'd be 5 x's. Plus 1 times 1 is 1. And I'd have 2. Oh, sorry. How many x's would I have here? Yep. X to the power of 3 minus 5x squared. Then go to your negative 4 and get that distributed inside. Negative 4 times 2x cubed is negative 8x cubed. Negative 4 times 1x is negative 4x. And negative 4 times negative 5, 2 negatives will give you a positive, and you'd have 20. Again, put your like terms together, write it in descending order of x. There's no other x to the 5s, so bring it down and cross it out. Let's do our cubes next. 1 minus 8. That's how you would type this in on your calculator. 1 minus 8. And that would give you, yes. Thank you. Okay. This was a negative 5x squared. Anything to join it with? Nope, bring it down. And then there was no other x's to join that, no other like terms, and my constant would be plus 20. That would be your answer. Okay, before we start B, in this question and in this question, how I set it up was the binomial first and the trinomial second. That's how I always set mine up. They've kind of got it the reverse here. They've got the trinomial first and the binomial second. You could do this by circling this term, putting it in, circling the negative 3, putting it in, circling the negative 7. Or what I like to do, just because I'm used to doing the same thing over and over, is I'm going to write this trinomial second. So 2y squared minus 3y minus 7. And then I've got my binomial first and my trinomial second. You could do it either way and you'll get the correct answer. But most of the questions that you'll see will be binomial and then trinomial. So I just always do it in that order. Okay, put your invisible 1 in front of the y, and let's carry out the multiplication. Distribute that 1y into the second bracket by multiplying. 1y times 2y squared would be 2y cubed. Next, you'd have negative 3y squared. And 1y times negative 7 would be negative 7y. When you're done distributing the first term, circle the second term, which is the negative 6, and get that in. Okay, negative 6 times 2 is negative 12y. Sorry, negative 12y squared. Negative 6 times negative 3 will give you plus 18y. And then negative 6 times 7 will give you what? Negative 6 times negative 7. Yes. Put your like terms together. There's no other y cubes, so I'm going to bring that down. For the y squareds, check to see that you'd enter this on your calculator correctly. Yes, and how you would get that is type in negative 3. So anybody that's typing this in, negative 3 minus 12. And it would be what Ainsley said, which is negative 15y squared. Negative 7 plus 18, how many y's? Yep, 11y. and then your constant plus 42. Okay, we will do class example 3. This is a standard of excellence question. Okay, so what happens on the diploma is if ever you get a standard of excellence question, it's the top 20% would get that. On your test, you generally have one or two standard of excellence. On your quiz tomorrow, you'll have one, but it's not even this difficult. So we'll do this one. I want you to write SE, so this is the standard of excellence. Okay, let's look at this 4. Where do you want me to put the 4? First bracket. So that becomes 4a minus 16. Then my second bracket, I'm just going to put that invisible 1 there. So I'm going to have 1a squared minus 3a minus 6. This negative is really what? A minus 1. And remember what we did yesterday? If we had two brackets at the end of our expression, we said, okay, let's make these two brackets into one bracket by distributing. So bring down that negative 1, create yourself a big bracket, and then let's distribute that 4a into here. So 4a times 4a is 16a squared. 4a times 3 is 12a. Go over to your negative 3 now and distribute that in. Negative 3 times 4a is negative 12a. And negative 3 times positive 3 is minus 9. So a lot of you would actually get to this step. You would know to put the 4 into the first bracket. You would know to drop that negative 1 and to multiply those two together. What do you want me to do here? What would you do, Justin, for that? Yeah, this is what we just did. Binomial times a trinomial, right? We just did this. So circle that 4a and get that distributed. So 4a times 1a squared would be 4a cubed. 4a times negative 3 would give you negative 12a squared. And then 4a times negative 6 would give you negative 24a. When you're done with the 4a, Evan, what do you want me to circle next to distribute in? What's that? So I'm done distributing in the 4a. What should I circle next? The negative 16, and this guy has to go in. Make sure you have your calculator because you're going to be multiplying like negative 16 times negative 6. But this guy has to go in each term in this bracket. Okay, negative 16 times 1a squared is negative 16a squared. Negative 16 times negative 3, are you getting plus 48? So plus 48a. And then the last terms, that negative 16 times negative 6, I know I'm going to get a positive, right? Two negatives will make a positive. And it should be plus 96. Then you would say, okay, what do I do with this? How do I get rid of this bracket? What would you guys be doing? Yeah, you'd be distributing in that negative 1. But before you do that, does something clean up in here? What is it? Yeah, 12 minus 12 cancels. It becomes 0a. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm just going to do this on this step. I'm going to get rid of that, and now I'm going to distribute the negative 1 to the 16a squared and to the negative 9. So take that negative 1, put it here, and put it there. And then you would have negative 16a squared. Negative 1 times negative 9 is plus 9. So like a lot of work for this. But if you stay organized, There's quite a few of you that would be able to get this answer. You then write down the biggest a first. We'll do in descending order of a, which is 4a cubed. There's no other a cubes to join that with. We're going to have 3a squareds. So I want you to type this in to make sure that you would get this, because I want to make sure you know how to enter this onto your calculator. Okay, so take out your calculators, type in -12. So that's the first thing, -12. Then -16 minus 16. You just enter it exactly as you see it. And what number's coming out? -44. And that would be -44a squared. So I could get rid of those three terms. Then we got to figure out our a's. So you're going to enter -24 plus 48. You entered exactly as you see it, -24 plus 48, 24 a's. And then your constant would be last. Anybody know what that constant would be? 105. Okay, there is going to be one more class example after this, but I want you to practice this. So let's go to the homework and I'll tell you which ones I want you to do. Okay, circle number 2, you're going to do A and B. I'm just going to put in my invisible one here and my invisible one there. Circle number 3, we're only going to be doing these two. For this has the trinomial first and binomial second. If you want to do it that way, you could do it that way. But all of the questions that we've done had this guy first, and then it had the trinomial. So I'm going to write this on this side, -1m squared minus 1m plus 1. So for those of you that just want to keep everything consistent, I got the binomial first, trinomial second. Put in your invisible one. C, actually, I don't need you to do C, so cross that out. And D, I'm just going to start it. How would you start this, actually? This is a good quiz question. Get the 2 into that first bracket. So let's do that. That would become 10x plus 4. Your second bracket stays exactly as is. And now you circle that 10x, put it in. Circle that 4, put it in. Combine your like terms. So I'll give you about 10 minutes to get that done. Up to this point, what you're able to do is you guys are able to multiply two binomials, right? Which would look like this. So one binomial times a second binomial. Earlier in this lesson, we did a binomial times a trinomial, right? So that's what we did in the last class examples. What this example is going to be on, and this will be the last multiplying that you have to know for polynomials, is 3 binomials. So this is essentially what this will be. You're going to have 3 brackets next to each other, which are 3 different binomials, and you have to be able to multiply 3 things. Before we do this, I want to show you an example with numbers. Can you please write 2 times 3 times 4? So don't punch this in on your calculator. What we're going to do is we're going to do this. What is 2 times 3? 6. What is then 6 times 4? 24. So we need to get an answer of 24. Write down that same numbers, 2 times 3 times 4. And what I want to show you is let's multiply these last 2 numbers first, and let's see if we get the same answer. So what's 3 times 4? 12. What's 12 times 2? 24. So what I'm sort of trying to show you is when I give you three binomials and I say multiply them together, you could multiply these first two to start with or these last two. I always do the same thing over and over. I multiply the last two first. So I'm going to show you that method, but you would get the same answer if you multiply the first two. So let's look at this. This is what I mean. Class example 4. Consider the rectangular prism shown. Write an expression which represents the volume. So when we do our measurement unit, volume of a rectangular prism is length times width times height. That's how you'd get the volume. So the expression would be volume equals this guy times this times this. So x plus 1 times x plus 2 times x plus 5. This is three binomials that we're going to expand. What would your units for volume be? That's right, centimeters cubed. If you look, it's a centimeter times a centimeter times a centimeter, centimeters cubed. That would be your volume. Okay, B says expand this expression so that the expanded form would look like this. So we're going to write those same three binomials, x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 5. I'm going to put my invisible ones in. And like I said, you could start multiplying these two or the last two. I'm going to start multiplying the last two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a big bracket. I'm going to circle the first term here, and I'm going to distribute it there and here. So 1x times 1x is 1x squared. 1x times 5 is plus 5x. Then go to this 2, and let's distribute that in. 2 times 1x is plus 2x. 2 times 5 is plus 10. We need to bring this down, right? Because we haven't multiplied that yet. So bring down your 1x plus 1. Okay. What would you do here? There's something we could do here before I start multiplying again. Does anybody see what it would be? You clean up. Yeah, 5x plus 2x. So I'll rewrite that. It'd be 1x squared. These are like terms. So that would be 7x's plus 10. Bring that down that 1x plus 1. And where we are now is where we started in this lesson. We've got a binomial and we've got a trinomial. We've got to multiply these two now. So circle the first term of your first bracket and distribute it in. We'll do two more of these so that you're confident with this. 1x times 1x squared would be 1x cubed. 1x times 7x would be 7x squared plus 7x squared. And 1x times 10 would be 10x. Get that second term circled and distribute that. 1 times 1 is 1x squared. 1 times 7x is plus 7x. And 1 times 10 is plus 10. Now you just clean up, right? Get your like terms together. Check if you have any other x cubes. You shouldn't. So bring it down. Let's put our x squareds together. So I've got 7 and 1. 8x squared. How many x's? 17. I've got a 10 and a 7. And what would my constant be? Plus 10. Because this is an actual volume question, at the beginning put volume is equal to. we've got the expanded expression, and let's end it with centimeters cubed. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you how they could turn a question like this into a numerical response. So what they said at the beginning is they said when you expand it, you're going to get something x cubed, which we have, plus something x squared, plus the number with x, and then plus your constant. Can you write off to the side, what is A, B, C, and D? Okay, so write that off to the side, and then I'll tell you what sort of question they could give you. Tristan, what's the value of A? So look up here. A is in front of, so down here, what's the numerical coefficient or the number in front of your x cubed? 1. So A is 1. And then B, Michaela, what's B? B would be 8. Carly, what is C? So if you look here, C is in front of your x. 17 is correct. And Serena, what is D? So again, you look up here, there's your D, and it would be 10. What they would do on a multiple choice is they would give you this, and you'd be multiplying those three binomials, and then they would say something like, what is B plus D, right? And you'd be like, okay, 8 plus 10, the answer would be 18. That's how they could turn a question like this into a numerical response. What I will do here is I'll only do one of these two, because I think if you'll start to understand it if we do just one more. Let's do this one. Okay, let's put your invisible ones in. Make sure you are getting this, because then I'll give you 3 or 4 to practice for homework. Do you want me to start with the first two or the last two? Last two? Okay. So if we're starting with the last two, bring this first one down. We're ignoring it for now. Bring that first binomial down. Create a bracket. And then we're going to multiply these last two binomials together. So you will circle that 1x, distribute it in. 1x times 1x is 1x squared. 1x times 4 is plus 4x. Then go to your negative 3. Circle that and distribute it in. Negative 3 times 1x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. You will always be able to simplify something in your trinomial, or sorry, this will become a trinomial. So simplify this into a trinomial. So we're going to have 2x minus 1